Hello, my name is Jamila McMallow, and I'm a mindset coach and relationship expert. I'm here with my wonderful client, Leilani Wells. She is a visibility strategist and marketing expert. And we are here talking about her experience working with me, doing that deep inner healing. Leilani, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. So maybe you could just share a little bit for those that are watching. What were some of the main reasons why you wanted to work together?
Yeah. So I've been watching Jamila for quite a while and I think she's amazing. Always thought so. And I just felt like she held the key to my growth in this area, her understanding being a family woman, but also operating a business at the same time. I have this dream to really have that great balance. And so it just made sense. And I want to expand my family. And I want to, find that or have that person find me, my person. And so it just seemed like there were some things that I got to work on, some internal things that it was time to work on, and no longer, put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the process was like for you?
Mhm.
You hear me talking about, okay, it's the deep inner healing, this is the work we're doing, it's going to transform your life. Obviously, like you said, you want to expand your family. You want, to meet a wonderful man and enjoy a fulfilling marriage, all those things. And you also have an incredible business. And as you know, you are your business and who you're being affects every other aspect of your life. And so no doubt as we're going through this process, you maybe saw it affecting or impacting other areas of your life. So let me ask you this first.
Mhm.
When you came to me and you recognized that you wanted to do this work, how was it impacting maybe your business or your life? How were you feeling? What was going on?
I would say that what was going on, and I'll start with business first. What was going on is didn't necessarily know that there was some things that could benefit in my business from immediate attention because I felt like everything on my business in my business gets to be put aside this entire year as my number one focus. And I'll just kind of go along and do the same things I was doing for the people I'm working with already because I want to start a family. So I have a son, I have an amazing son. I want to expand my family. So I do have a family and I want to, like I shared earlier, find that person. However, I felt like that had to be the sole focus. And then it was like either one or the other. I didn't feel like I could do both. And so when I started working with you, what had happened was
Yes. Let's keep it real.
what happened was, as somebody who, one of my signature programs is Get Seen. I'm all about visibility and promoting and all of these things. I wasn't showing up in the ways which, everyone goes through seasons, myself included, of this. So I could have been showing up in a bigger, better capacity, all those things in a more joyful way, right? We want to do this with joy as women. We want to really have a good time and enjoy what we're doing. It's great for us and our clients, and that's the case. So, even though I was like going through the motions, there was more when I started working with you that I was able to start doing without even thinking about it. It just started happening. And I started birthing new ideas and things started happening and I started getting this newfound excitement. And that was really exciting because to see that, I can start dating again and start, getting excited about my business and my dating life at the same time. I was really grateful for that. Really, really grateful for that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when you clear away that gunk, as I call it,
Mhm.
that old emotional gunk, that stuff that's like hanging out in us, that's holding us
Yeah.
back. And here's the thing, a lot of times we don't even realize it's holding us back. We feel
Mhm.
like we're trying to run through mud or something. Like, what is going on? And what happens is, as you said, there are seasons, right? When we experience success, at a certain point, we're going to eventually hit our upper limits. Or when we develop a desire to have something more than what we've ever been familiar with, it's like we hit a wall. And it's like either we're going to push past that wall or we're going to let it knock us back down. But meanwhile, we're just, banging against the wall and life doesn't get fun. And so really what you were able to do through our work together was break through that wall. And as you're releasing these things, it's creating space, and it allowed you, now your brain is like, ooh, there's so many ideas, so many opportunities, ooh, a new relationship. So it's like, it just opens you up and expands you to a completely new level of being that, you couldn't have seen before or experienced because again, you were just hitting that wall. So what I would love to know, what was the hardest thing about going through this process? Was it just like easy breezy, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this exercise or that?
I'm not gonna tell you guys it was easy. Whoever's watching this, it's not easy. And it's simple. It's not easy. It's like, you're not sitting there doing a dissertation, but those blocks are there beforehand because they're blocks. You're blocked. So to, take down a brick wall and to unblock and move blocks, you definitely want to have support. You definitely want to have support. And I felt so supported by you. Just incredible support. And I think that is what we want to know, because as women, especially if these are all business women watching, or the strong women, I hate the word strong women, we shouldn't have to be strong, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Resilient women that can do things. We don't need to be doing all the things on our own. And so to know that, like, something that we are resistant to, because it's another thing that we can be taking on, but it's for ourselves. And usually we're putting ourselves last. And it's going to make it easier to understand that when you are that supported, that it's going to be okay. Take on something wonderful for yourself and remove it forever. Right. And that's how it felt. Like, this is something that I don't have to keep revisiting and revisiting, or ignoring and ignoring. So revisiting, and the fact that you're ignoring it, right? Because some part of my subconscious was at work on this, because I'm thinking of things that I haven't thought of, in years, like since childhood, or my teenage life, and I'm in my 40s, and it's like, okay, so I didn't think of all these things, and not just bad stuff, good stuff too.
Right.
So it blew my mind, the stuff that I had forgotten that was still in here somewhere. And through this work, it came out. So now it's not like running in the background as I do things. That's another thing I think about, and how many programs do we have running in the background that are really just making all the decisions for us, and we don't even realize. And those programs I've been deprogrammed from a lot of that through our work together. So I just feel like there's more capacity, and it feels good.
Good. And let me just explain a little bit. When she says programs, what she means is our limiting beliefs. Okay. So if you think about your brain like it's a computer, your limiting beliefs, or your beliefs, are like the programs that run and tell your brain what is true and possible for you, what you're allowed to do. Just like a computer runs the programs that tell it, this is how you open email, this is how you do all these things. Your brain has a set of beliefs that were formed in childhood, primarily by how you experienced your parents' presence or absence, and then also your environment, your culture, your community, all of those things, which told you who you were allowed to be, what you were allowed to do, and what you were allowed to have. And because children are wide open, we accept it. We don't question it. And those programs don't go away. They continue to run and operate. And they do. And a lot of the things our parents taught us was to protect us. Okay. So they did serve their purpose. But we reach a point in life to where those programs now are limiting us. And that's why we call them limiting beliefs, because they're holding us back from what we really want and what we really need to want to do, really. And so
many of those programs don't serve us anymore. Many of them don't serve us.
Yes. And so we have to go in and change them. And the thing is it's not about blaming your parents. It's about acknowledging your experience. It's about acknowledging the beliefs that you have, because your parents couldn't give you what they didn't have. And their time with you is done. You've been grown for a long time. And so now as an adult, you get to decide what beliefs you're going to keep and which ones you're going to let go of, so that you can be free to move forward and accomplish your goals and have what you want in your relationships, in your business, in your life, you know? So, Leilani, I love that you had the courage, to go through this process, because it's not easy. And I am so grateful that I was able to be there for you, and that you felt so supported, because one of the big things I do is hold space for my clients and help them push past their resistance. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the resistance.
You want me to tell them?
Resistance. That's a coaching term, resistance. So what is that? I'll explain it, but I'd love to hear from your point of view as
Okay.
a client. Like, maybe you could explain, how did that show up for you, your resistance in doing?
Yeah, well, I don't
this
want to attract your unideal clients by saying this, but I'm just going to be real here. I feel like I was not the best client, and I'm always the best. I'm like, my whole life, I've been teacher's pet. Here's your apple, like everything. Everyone loves me, as you know. So I was surprised that when Jamila was like, okay, I need this or do that, and then I was just like so frozen. And this is why I'm telling you guys about this level of support, because I did not know, like, I did not know I needed this level of support. I did not know that I was going to be this bad of a student.
No. Okay.
I know, but that's how I felt. Okay.
I know.
That's how I felt, because, as a very, as a businesswoman and someone who really takes pride in doing the things and being there for people, this is something I had to be there for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also something I had to be out of avoidance with for myself for the first time, that, whether I knew it or not, I was in avoidance about this stuff, because I never sat there and thought about, my past. It would come up when it would come up. And so I just feel like, for anyone who is thinking about doing this, like, y'all need to know.
Yeah. And so
if it's a block, talk to her.
and here's the thing. So I'll explain a little bit. It's so funny that you're saying that you feel like, oh, I'm not doing it right. So every single one of my clients feels that way, because resistance is normal and natural. And so, like you said, I supported you. I gave you that reassurance that, hey, this is normal. You're not crazy. This isn't anything new. I expected this. I was waiting for it to happen. The fact that it's happening, that means we're in the right spot, honey. That means we're right on the money. We about to get to it now. Because here's the thing. When we have to face things that have happened in our past that were painful, our brain, perceives it as pain. And so it tries to protect us. And what'll happen is you'll get distracted. You'll get super busy. You'll start getting all kinds of stuff going on. Your life will just all of a sudden become so chaotic. You're like, I just couldn't get, the exercise done or whatever. And I'm like, okay. But I always warn my clients before they get started. This is what's going to come up. This is what's going to happen, so they can recognize it. But then I'm there to coach them and support them through it. So I was there for you and able to help you get through that, and really, kind of say, okay, well, we're going to do this today.
I never felt like you didn't believe me. Like, I always felt like, wow, she really is, like, this is normal. I am normal. And like, get rid of that bad student thought that comes up, because every time I would say stuff like that to you, you're like, okay, but this is part of the process, and this is what you go through, and this is this, and so this is all new territory. And I just, when you're going through stuff that's new territory, you just gotta be doing it with somebody who you trust.
And the thing about it is maybe you can talk a little bit about this too, is the way that we work. We talk about dealing with things from our past. We talk about painful memories. What we didn't do was we didn't sit around and talk about all of your traumas and painful experiences. You didn't have to tell me anything that was embarrassing, none of that. My job was to stand in the gap and help you to be able to face it and to move through it and get to the other side, not to sit in it, not to marinate in it, not any of that, but to get through the other side and release it, so that now you can be free to move forward. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the vulnerable times are with you and yourself. Those moments during this process are between you and yourself. Now, the check-ins are with Jamila. The check-ins, the support about how you're feeling facing all this stuff is with her. So you're not talking about your personal business all day and having to deal with it with yourself and then deal with it with someone else. You know, you're talking with her about the actual process of how you're feeling and how you're doing it and your timeline on it and all of that. So I would just say that um it's it's gonna be something that is interesting for you to go through,
Mm-hmm.
and very empowering. I don't always like to use that word because it's so empowered. I feel empowered, but
Yes,
I mean
right.
it's the best word for this situation because you feel like you've conquered something, and not even I'm not even going to skip to the end. During the process, you know you're going to feel empowered at the end. You can see the end in sight that that's what's going to happen, that you are no longer going to be where you've been, and now you're going, you can see it. You
Yes.
know, like I got to get there, and just don't judge yourself along the path, right? Because like you're hearing me say about this bad student thing, like I was talking to her about it, and then she took me out of the judgment, out of the judgment, out of the judgment, because I just wanted to make it clear, like, hey, I'm not a flaky person, this is not, I don't know what's happening, I don't understand this. And I don't understand like why I didn't respond to you for 2 days, or why this is so weird. Like, I don't like this about myself right now. And she's like, I'm used to this happening. This is different than business. This is the business of you, it's
Yes.
the kind of conversations we would have. So, the judgment is not happening. And I will even say, as a result for myself, one of the things that's happened for me from working with you is that I no longer judge myself the way I used to judge myself. That was
Mm-hmm.
something, a massive result that I had that was more debilitating than I realized that I was going through, where, how they say that saying, we're all our own worst critics.
Mm-hmm.
I, I've noticed like some points in my life, people have felt like I was judging them. And I always wonder, like, what was it like? Why would they feel that? Because I'm always judging myself so bad and not judging other people. And then that's what they were feeling, that was, or sometimes maybe I was being judgy and
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand that I was, because I judged myself so hard that any lower level, so it feels really good to not feel like I am doing or having that energy with myself and or others anymore. At least not to that extent, right? Because we all have that inner critic that's healthy even at some points, but not anywhere near um,
Right.
what was holding me back before.
Yeah, I love how you explained it. You said that you no longer felt like when something happened, or it is what it is. It's not
Mm-hmm.
me trying to figure out what's wrong with me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, now, yes, are there situations and circumstances in our life where we are the common denominator? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But do we need to waste time beating ourselves up instead of moving forward or switching to being in an empowered state versus a disempowered state? So that's that transition, that's the shift, that
Yeah.
you were able to experience there. And I also love that you're explaining it as a process, because that's what it is. It's not like we just get together and throw something against the wall and see what sticks. It's a very strategic process that I guide all of my clients through. I've done it so many times, which is why I know what's coming in the roadblocks, and
Mhm.
why I'm like, just keep on going right around the corner, here you
Right.
go. So but I would love for you to share with those that are watching, because I know that you mentioned that not judging yourself was like one of the biggest results that you got. But what else did you get from this experience? Now that we've worked together, how have you changed? What is it? What does the future look like? What are the results that you feel like you got?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot comes out of not judging yourself in that level. Like, I want to start back there again because, you mold who you are based off of that. And it's not only is it a time waster, but we talk about authenticity and all these things um quite often these days. And I feel like I'm a pretty me, authentic person. but at the same time, I don't necessarily or hadn't necessarily been letting people see like the bad sides and even hold space for me, right? What the quote unquote bad sides, right? The sides that aren't so perfect. Because when you're thinking and judging yourself so much, you're like literally critiquing yourself as you go. And so there's people that want to just love you just with the way you are and how you are, and laugh and giggle about those things that are maybe an inconvenience or rude or whatever, like not so perfect or whatever. And they want to love those parts of you, and let you just like relax and just be. And yeah, we get to improve ourselves and we get to do all these things, but to get out of your head and just be, sometimes it's worth it to, just let people just have just the the sides of you that are rough around the edges, and not have you like cleaning as you go. So you're not relaxed and you're always thinking, you know?
Yeah,
That's
that overthinking. Yep. And it, like you said, it leads back to that inner critic.
yeah, yeah. So, that changes a lot. That changes a lot throughout your whole day to day to not have that going, all the time, you know? Yeah, yeah. And I can, and for me, I do a lot of social media content for myself and others, on, you see all these little icons in the corner. Like, so, I'm on these platforms looking at client stuff before I create stuff for clients or myself, or, it's just all the time I'm thinking about, oh, how is this going to be perceived and said? And how do we say this? How do we put that? What are the colors we use? All the things. So, and it's good that I think in that way because I have to. That's how I'm paid, right? But at the end of the day, it can be at a point where it's taking too long to just put that information out. And because it's like, okay, now you're really thinking on a level that's not conducive for
Like second guessing, self-doubting.
Thank you. Second guessing and self-doubting are perfect ways to describe what would happen, especially on my individual content. I find that it's very easy for me to create things for other people that just really makes them soar and shine. I get them. I love like their flaws, quote unquote flaws, right? Love my little air quotes and my video. But yeah, I love those things about people. So why wouldn't they love them about me? Why not give people the opportunity to love those things about me? They're going to come out anyway. And I think, when we're going back to like finding person or have that person find me or whatever, maybe that's part of how he finds me is like, okay, I see everything. What you see is what you get. Like, this is the real deal,
Yes.
like men see things,
Oh yeah.
they be knowing. They just sit back and watch.
And really that's so powerful. That's so powerful that you are like, I can feel comfortable being me. I'm not trying to perform or be something that I'm not because I'm overly concerned about what you're going to think about me when you walk away. Now,
it's interesting. I never would have gotten that because I'm not insecure. I think it's like part of, I can pinpoint it now. It's part of like that past whole survival stuff, right?
Yes.
That survival program, like, okay, let people see this or that back then. Because again, that's the thing that served me when I was younger. I was trying to survive certain circumstances, like physically survive too, not just mentally, right?
Right.
Like this is the way you get to be to make sure everyone's happy and you'll be safe. And so that doesn't serve me anymore.
No. And really, in a sense, it's like becoming reconnected with yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. And so now you can feel comfortable when you get into a relationship, presenting yourself essentially in this person, the same way they're coming to the table. Now you're not trying to figure out, well, who do I need to be? It's just here I am, and yes, when you're in a relationship, both people are going to have to make changes and things to come together. However, you're not going to be showing up trying to fit into whatever it is you think that he wants. You're showing up as me, and he can say that's for him or not. And you're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? So I would love for you to also share, before we wrap this up, why, so many women who are overachievers, who are, like you say, use that term, considered strong, whatever. We hate that term.
Right.
explain to them why this is not something that you're going to be able to DIY. You can't just read some books, some YouTube videos, maybe you can even explain how even, because I'm sure you've been to counseling or therapy, how that even prepared you maybe for this place that you're in, but it is not what this is.
Yeah, well, so in counseling and therapy, you have, or I'll just talk about therapy, so in therapy, you have somebody that you can just, bleh, you just like, here's all my crap, you're dumping on them, right, to them. And then you're waiting for them to give you whatever feedback and answers that they give you. In this process, you get to face it yourself and then talk about how you're facing it yourself. So I don't feel empowered in therapy. I feel supported, yes. I feel it's helpful for me, yes. It serves its purpose for me, right? This serves another purpose for me. And in this purpose, I felt like when I'm looking at the past me who had to figure out, am I safe? How do I stay safe? And now I'm facing all those things in moments alone, and then taking it back to consult about it and to see how I'm doing in that process. So it's kind of like you're not alone and you are alone. You're not alone and you are alone. And it gives you that empowered state of being. And really there's no hiding who you are, because it's just you and you again. Like I said, it's me, myself, and I, right? That's all I got in the end. So like, I mean, it's just, and it just blows your mind what you can accomplish. So you reach for more.
Yes.
You seek out to do the assignment. It's like when I was in college, I'm alone writing this term paper in college. Oh my God, I can go back to my professor. This is a great way, actually. I likened this to feeling like when I was in college. And this is just like for a different side of myself, right? It's not scholastic. It's like, oh, your emotional side, which, those who know me, I feel like that's how you reach the stars in life, your EQ, not your IQ. But anyway, I feel like you've got this opportunity to really pour your everything into your project that to see what you're being graded, I gotta get this A, and then you go back and you may have some questions to make sure you get this A to your professor. And then you go back to what you're doing, and then you go back to your professor again if you're that real star student that like, wow, how do I get the extra credit? How do I get this extra credit, right? I'm gonna catch him or her. I'm gonna catch them like when all the students left on break. That was the kind of student I was. I'm telling you, I like to be teacher's pet. That's why I was upset when I would catch the professor after class. Everyone left. I'd stay after or come before. So that's what I think. This is how it feels. This is how it feels. And when you're done, you graduate, and that's a wrap.
And so is this something that you could have done yourself, by reading books, DIY, and
no.
Because isn't it true though? No. Isn't that true though? But that's what women will do.
Well, but we haven't done this work. If they're watching this video, they have not done it themselves. So let's not kid. We all know we're not going to.
But some think they can.
But we're not going to.
Right.
That's redonkulous. I mean, like, we're not going to. We're the type of women who are doing all kinds of stuff for other people to begin with. That's why we haven't even gotten in this space.
Yes. Yep. So then, Leilani, what would you share with someone who's watching, who's been thinking about working with me and maybe is on the fence?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I don't know if you have not heard what I said before. Just now, like, what's going on? What more do y'all need? Like, I just feel like, at this point, here's what I'll say. If there's any resistance left after everything I've shared, then I feel like maybe it's wrapped up in the fact of, understanding that you're worth it. Because the
Mm.
facts, we've already shared the facts of how powerful this is. So I feel like, it's a worthiness thing at that point. And and start there. I would say start there, and if it's a money thing, then just talk to her about that. But if it's a worthiness thing, just pick that apart and see if that, serves you to not feel worth it, and if it serves the people around you to be bringing that type of energy to them, that you're not worth it.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think their two are related, because when we struggle with our worthiness or how we see ourselves, how we value ourselves, see, most of us have been taught that our value comes from what we do, not who we are being.
Yeah.
See, we're worthy and valuable simply because we live, breathe, and exist, not because we do anything. And so because we're taught, well, I gotta, get an education, I gotta get skills, and I'll get a paycheck, and that tells me what I'm worth. No, your worth is who you are being. It is not based on how much knowledge you have, what you do, how many, the whole alphabet you have behind your name. Yeah, how much money you have. None of that, because I already know, like you spend money on other things, but when it comes to spending money on ourselves, if we don't inherently deep down feel we're worthy of spending money on who we are being, like our emotions, our mindset, the way that we think, facing things from our past, if we don't see the value in that, then we won't invest in it. And when we invest in ourselves, we are a sure thing, because there's always a return. Like, you're like, whoa, all of a sudden I'm super productive in my business. Whoa, all of a sudden I get it. When the man comes along and be like, hey, what's up? You literally are a different person now. And you're going to make different choices. Once you start unraveling this stuff, it's instant. You're no longer the person you were before you started. And so now you're operating at a completely different level, making completely new choices and decisions. And so your life literally goes in a completely new and different trajectory. So when it comes to this type of work, you have to see it for what it is. And that's an investment in you. And when you change, when you transform, it impacts your entire life and everyone who comes into contact with you. So, well, Leilani, as we wrap things up, is there anything else you want to say, or maybe tell folks how to find you?
Well, I think you see on the screen how to find me at Leilani M. Wells or LeilaniWells.com. I would just say, just connect with Jamila. She's amazing. Not just at what she does, but in who she is. So
thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for watching. And yes, let me find, oh yeah, over here. All right. And thank you. And yes, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments, or you can schedule a call with me at coachjamila.com, and we'll see you next time.